Where once you had the freedom to object, to think and speak as you saw fit.
Many of your favorite YouTubers could be about to disappear.
Companies like AT&T, Verizon, Johnson & Johnson, these big companies.
It's pulling ads from YouTube and other Google non-search platforms.
Offensive content, including videos promoting terror and anti-Semitism.
YouTube dealing with a headache. More companies are now pulling their ads from the video streaming platform and other Google sites after learning some appeared next to extremist videos. Johnson & Johnson joins a growing list of concerned companies, including AT&T and Verizon, suspending all digital advertising on YouTube. Johnson & Johnson said it wants to make sure that its product ads don't appear on channels that promote, quote, offensive content. Reuters reporting Google's YouTube has been facing heat for ads appearing alongside videos carrying homophobic or anti-Semitic messages. The company issued an apology and has since promised to revamp its practices, but advertisers continue to have problems controlling online ad placement. They want to avoid having their brands appear beside controversial content that they categorize as hate speech.
AT&T doesn't want its name showing up next to videos promoting intolerance and hate. As a result, the carrier on Wednesday said it's pulling ads from YouTube and other Google non-search platforms. We are deeply concerned that our ads may have appeared alongside YouTube content promoting terrorism and hate, the company said in an email. Until Google can ensure this won't happen again, we are removing our ads from Google's non-search platforms. The company joined a growing cohort shunning YouTube. To counter the growing backlash, Google on Tuesday said it will give companies greater control over where their ads appear and assign more people to enforce its ad policies. The problem is that few companies know where their online ads appear. Most online ad placement services use programmatic advertising, which targets people instead of websites. That's why when you're online shopping for something like shoes, you may see an ad for those shoes running across other sites you visit. The Times in the UK found that hundreds of companies had ads appearing next to videos created by hate groups or their supporters.
Companies like AT&T, Verizon, Johnson & Johnson, these big companies, they've just found out that their ads are being played before some pretty offensive content, and they want it to stop.
Right, so what's happening is they not only found out they're playing right on top of the video, but sometimes there are other ads that are running. So what companies are saying is we're pulling not just out of Google, YouTube, but those ads could appear in a whole bunch of other related sites that work with Google, so it's actually a significant impact. And I will tell you, there is a positive in this that is going to change the course of how advertisers work with platforms and also affect what kind of content that may be available on sites like these.
I mean, at the heart of this, isn't it the case that basically technology has outstripped the pace of advertising's checks and balances?
Well, it's the same thing that happened when television was there and all of a sudden the internet showed up and nobody knew how to deal with all of this. So now what you see is even more faster pace with the number of videos being uploaded per hour and things like that. So what's actually happening is advertisers are saying, wait a minute, these are giants that we're advertising on, but so are we. So maybe there's a balance to be struck on what kinds of ads appear on what kinds of content or next to what kinds of content. So there's a dialogue that's absolutely been started, all based on the revenue potential that both companies want, which means there's actually a shared interest here, which is a good thing.
Yeah, there are millions, tens, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue at stake here. And when you look at the amount of content, 400 hours of content uploaded to YouTube, I thought it was every hour, you thought it was every minute, but regardless, it's a lot. Explains why this is so hard to actually try and do anything about. We heard from Eric Schmidt, the boss of Google. He said he won't make any guarantees, at least not now, that they can fix this. That's pretty telling.
Well, it's a balance between how much can technology identify what is the content inside a video. So, for example, is it hate speech? Is it a discussion about hate? And so those are the kinds of things algorithms are currently inside of Google, created by Google engineers, are looking for. This is acceptable or not acceptable.
Google is one of the world's most profitable companies, making tens of billions of dollars a year in ad sales. But this week, it's facing a global crisis after some of the world's biggest advertisers suddenly halted their spending.
The concern is where their ads are running, sometimes next to offensive content, including videos promoting terror and anti-Semitism. Here to talk about the search giant's troubles is Jason Tanz, editor-at-large for Wired magazine. Jason, so these ads are placed randomly on videos. It's not like the advertisers are choosing which videos to attach the ads to.
Yeah, that's right. This is kind of a problem of both too much technology and not enough, right? So the deal is Google has opened up to allow programmatic advertising, which is automatically placed across thousands and thousands and thousands, millions of sites. And YouTube as well places ads programmatically on millions of videos. This is not a human being going through and deciding which ad matches up with which video. And the problem is that when you do that, sometimes the AI fails, and the AI doesn't always catch offensive material, and then you end up with AT&T being advertised against material it doesn't want to be advertised against, or Johnson & Johnson, or some of the world's biggest advertisers.
Okay, so what does Google do about this? They released a statement saying this week they are reviewing ad policies and plan to make changes to give advertisers more control over where their ads appear. How feasible is that given the amount of content that we're talking about?
Well, it's a hard problem. I mean, part of what Google said they're doing is they're hiring more engineers to fix the AI, which doesn't seem like a very quick fix.
Yeah.
On the other hand, their initial response was somewhat passive aggressive. It was the kind of like, I'm sorry if I offended you response. Like, I'm sorry our tools weren't simple enough for you boneheads to use. Right. They've stepped back from that a little bit. And what they say is that, this is just a few things that fall through the cracks. For the most part, 99% of offensive material is properly flagged and does not get advertised against, but that doesn't really work that well.
Right, you need to be batting 1,000. If you're a big company like Johnson & Johnson, you want to make sure your ads are appearing only where you want them to, right?
Exactly, and that's what the advertisers are saying. They're pulling their ads from YouTube, maybe they're pulling their ads from the entire programmatic platform until Google can absolutely guarantee 100% that their ads will not appear against offensive content. Now, the problem with that is that if you paint with too broad a brush, if they become very conservative and say, we're going to err on the side of not advertising, then you become an arbiter for what's offensive and what's not offensive, and different voices can be shut out or not make any money because Google's being too cautious.
Many of your favorite YouTubers could be about to disappear. Basically, a bunch of corporations had a collective hissy fit because their ads were showing up on extremist videos. To be fair, you can understand why they don't want to be seen as endorsing extremism. Because by extremism, we just mean ISIS. We mean jihadist propaganda. Beheading videos, right? Wrong. According to the media, extremist YouTubers include yours truly, JonTron, and PewDiePie. Let us dwell for a second on how truly hysterical you must be to think that a guy who makes funny videos about playing computer games is a political extremist. So the media is exploiting the contrived moral panic started by these corporations to pressure YouTube into silencing us all. So why do they want to censor me? Well, it's because I'm kicking their ass and they can't win the argument on a level playing field. So I tweeted, Twitter is a tiny echo chamber. I'm not sure the left understand the monumental ass whooping being dished out to them on YouTube. And it triggered a huge number of frothing leftists to angrily deny that it was true. Which is how I knew it was true. Even Vice was forced to admit, quote, Paul Joseph Watson is right in an article entitled Why the Right is Dominating YouTube. And it is true. Virtually every SJW or regressive left video on YouTube gets absolutely slaughtered in the comments and has overwhelming thumbs down. We're clearly winning the argument because most leftists are incredibly lazy and would rather virtue signal on Twitter than go through the laborious process of scripting, filming, and editing videos. Because their idea of debate consists of using minorities as human shields and calling you a racist. Which is not an argument, and not having an argument doesn't translate well to YouTube. So instead of challenging our ideas with better ideas, like it works in, a civil society, they're just going to censor us by labeling us extremists. Don't believe me? It's already happening. Polygon said my YouTube channel was part of a sexist and racist hate movement. In that Vice article I just mentioned, they say PewDiePie is, quote, far right, despite the fact that he doesn't even talk about politics. And that he's causing millions of kids to become anti-Semites because he jokes about shooting Hitler in the balls in a video game.
And that's why Hitler never had any babies.
Yes, really. In another Vice article, they say JonTron is making all the kids racist. New Statesman said my videos were racist in an article about who YouTube should censor. Along with all the fake news hysteria, they're clearly building the narrative that anyone who even hints at challenging leftist dogma on anything is an extremist and must be silenced. They're clearly conflating actual extremism, like ISIS beheading videos, with people who just have a different fucking opinion. And again, it's because we're crushing them. Their audience is shrinking. Their trustworthiness, especially amongst young people, is collapsing. So how will they silence us pesky YouTubers with our wrong-think and inconvenient opinions? Well, let me introduce you to YouTube Restricted Mode. Here's my channel on Restricted Mode. Yeah, you'll notice every single one of my videos has disappeared. Here's CNN on Restricted Mode. Not a single one of their videos has been buried. Even though I talk about many of the same news issues as CNN. Same issues, wrong opinion. So it's bye-bye PJW. Here's Philip DeFranco's channel. Steven Crowder. Here's Alex Jones. Here's PewDiePie. Every single video is gone. Here's CNBC. Here's NBC. Again, they talk about many of the exact same issues as me, and yet not a single one of their videos is buried. This is the sterile, controversy-free, advertiser-friendly environment that YouTube wants.
There are, of course, those who do not want us to speak.
So you know how YouTube slaps an age restriction on your videos and it forces people to have to sign into their accounts to watch them? That immediately kills the momentum for your video and stops it going viral. And that's what they'll do with this restricted mode. They'll force people to sign in and age verify to see every single upload from those of us that have been put on the naughty step. It's coming. Which of course will virtually kill all our channels and completely demotivate us from making more videos. This all makes sense given that YouTube is partnering up with major corporations to basically turn itself into a conventional TV channel. And telling the truth is just not advertiser friendly. We're not welcome anymore.
Google must walk a fine line between giving advertisers more control and alienating the massive community of content creators who've made the site a top destination for coveted young viewers.
From a censorship angle, it will also prevent millions of young people from being red-pilled on important political subjects, because they just won't be able to see our videos organically. And that makes sense because Generation Z is already leaning more conservative and the establishment is in a blind panic about it. Listen to what Google's Eric Schmidt said.
Google can build products that move extreme content down in the rankings.
Again, who's extreme? Well, it's me. It's Alex Jones. It's PewDiePie. We're all Nazis now.
It should be possible for computers to detect malicious, misleading and incorrect information and essentially have you not see it. We're not arguing for censorship, we're arguing just take it off the page.
Oh, we're not going to censor you, we're just going to make sure that nobody can see your videos. Oh gee, thanks. And there's already speculation that YouTube is deliberately unsubscribing people from channels based on age if those channels are deemed edgy in any way.
If this YouTube age gate really does exist, it would explain why Leafy is here, a YouTuber who has extremely edgy adult content, would be losing subscribers every single day because the majority of his fan base, I would assume, are younger. As I said, when I heard this, bells were ringing. I was shocked, but that wasn't it. There was more to the story. The YouTube employee went on to say that they're planning on implementing this across YouTube, and that if you are not in the age group appropriate for that channel, you won't even be able to search it and find it anymore once they fully roll out the program.
But YouTube's a private company, it can censor who it likes. Yeah, isn't it funny how leftists are suddenly so vehemently in favour of the right of private companies to discriminate against people? But only when that discrimination involves censoring conservatives. Refuse to bake a gay wedding cake and that fervent principle suddenly washes away. And forget conservatives. Any popular YouTuber with any influence whatsoever poses a threat to the media's monopoly on controlling public opinion. That's why YouTube tried to pay off people to support Hillary Clinton.